Hi, in this video I'm going to quickly demonstrate that the temp database MDF and LDF files actually do not get deleted during a database or a server restart. Now the video is not aimed at exactly proving that whole concept, but actually the main focus of this video is to kind of try to find out what's going on with another aspect of temp database. So the first thing that you probably need to look at is if you come to the Microsoft articles on temp database, you'll see that the standard wisdom says that transactions are rolled back, temp database is recreated every time SQL Server is started. So this is where basically most of us get our information from in terms of how TempDB behaves. And as you can see here, the assumption here being that if TempDB is shut down and restarted, or basically the server is restarted, then TempDB actually gets recreated. And by that definition, what we expect is that the files get removed and added again. So a quick proof of that would be, if you see here, I've got my temp database here, and when I right click and if I just go ahead and go to the properties of temp database, you'll see that right now the temp database creation time is showing as 2011 2015 11 12 56, and when I restart temp database, which it's going to happen now over here, as you can see here, the restart is in progress. So when this happens, what you'll see in the event viewer, if I come over here and open up event viewer and go to application, well, I guess it's not refreshed yet, so just give me a second. Let me just refresh this. Yes, SQL Server is up and running again. So when I refresh this, what we're going to see is the entry that we see inside the event viewer actually says clearing up temp database and not really anything else. So let's have a look at that. I'm just scrolling down to see where I can pick that information up. You'll see here that it says starting up MSDB, and all the other databases, it basically refers to starting up. Whereas for the temp database, the information that you typically get would be something like clearing tempdb followed by starting up temp database. So you can see here it says clearing temp database, and immediately after that you'll find one that says starting up temp database. So the confusion here being that what's there to clear in the first place. Now the proof that I wanted to show you was that if you come into your program files of SQL of your operating system, what you'll see typically is something like this. So let me just go ahead and quickly show this to you, where if I come into SQL Server and I open up SQL Server, when I go into data, you'll see that right now for my temp databases, where did they go? Here we are. You'll see that the time shows as 11:48, which is basically just 2 minutes back. But the thing here is that this is the date modified. So again, in this case, while starting up, there's a lot of activity happening on the files, and therefore you'll see that all my files right now have date modified roughly the same. But the true thing that you want to look at is the creation date. So if you come here into the operating system and you look at command prompt, you see this command here that says dir/q/tc. If you run this in the directory, you'll actually see the creation timestamp followed by the person who created the file and then the actual file itself. So here, if I go ahead and run this query now, you'll see that basically for my temp database and LDF file, the time that it shows for creation is not actually today's date, but it's showing 11th of October 2015 at 4:47 p.m. And that's basically the time that I installed SQL Server on my laptop. You'll see that all the other files basically have different times. For example, you'll see that my master database and all the other system databases share the same time as my temp database, but any user databases I created have different times altogether. So this is the proof that actually the actual MDF and LDF files do not get deleted and recreated when TempDB is brought down. or when the server is restarted. However, that brings us to the next question, where if you look here in my model database, you'll see that I've created a table called table 1, and you'll see that right now in my temp database, when I look at tables, you'll see that there's a table 1 here. So if I delete this over here, and then when I restart the server again, you'll see that basically the database tables inside the model database get recreated inside my TempDB. So the question then becomes, if model database is a template used at the time of database creation, and we are seeing those tables that we created in model database turn up in the temp database as well, then should we assume that temp database is being recreated, because we are able to see changes from the model database reflecting inside the TempDB as well, as you can see here. So this is basically where I think, we need to investigate this further. But if you ask from the Windows perspective and the file and file system perspective, it's pretty clear that yes, the temp database files are created at the time of installation of SQL Server, or after you delete it and recreate it again. So if you look at it from a pure operating system standpoint, no, the files do not get deleted and recreated. They are exactly the same files that you've been using before. However, from the SQL Server internals perspective, you'll see that the time of the database creation as well as the objects inside the database are the latest uh, snapshot, or the latest version of whatever you would expect inside the temp database. So if it's got some new objects inside model database, then you will find them even inside your TempDB as well. So this is what basically I think needs explaining in terms of how this behavior actually happens if the actual files are themselves not deleted, because the assumption there would be then that your transaction log file as well as your MDF files already contain information in terms of what was present and what was deleted. Even in a simple recovery model, once the delete happens, then the expectation here is that this transaction log file will not contain an entry for table underscore 1. So then from where does this table underscore 1 get created after the database restart? So that's basically what I'm going to investigate next time. But if someone asks you, does temp table get recreated during a server restart? The answer would be no if you look at it from an operating system standpoint. Yeah, and yes, if you look at it from a SQL Server standpoint, because inside a SQL Server you can see that the behavior is almost like as if you run create database from scratch. So we're obviously going to go ahead and investigate this a little bit further, try to figure out what's going on. But I hope this kind of clarifies in terms of how temp database actually works after server restart. Uh, Hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.